The absolute best predictor of a genius-level intellect is not a perfect SAT score. It is not a photographic memory. And it's certainly not the ability to solve complex multivariable equations in your head. According to modern neuroscience, the ultimate sign of a highly intelligent brain is actually how easily it gets completely destroyed by a flickering LED light or an itchy clothing tag on the back of your shirt, or the faint, distant hum of a refrigerator 3 rooms away. We have this fundamental expectation in our society that the most intelligent people among us must be the most perfectly put together. We imagine them as these stoic, hyper-logical architects of reality. But the truth is far stranger. The exact same brain that can seamlessly build a multi-million-dollar business or understand the deepest nuances of quantum physics is very often the exact same brain that will have a quiet, internal meltdown because someone is chewing their food a little too loudly across the table. Psychologists call this the paradox of the hyperbrain and the hyperbody. Extreme intellectual capability doesn't just give you a faster processor. It gives you a central nervous system that is chronically, relentlessly left in the on position. You become highly effective at reasoning, but fundamentally, biologically vulnerable to the everyday environmental noise that everyone else seems to just ignore. And there is a very specific, tiny cluster of neurons hiding deep in your brainstem that is entirely responsible for this weird contradiction. It is a biological switch that dictates not just how smart you are, but how much anxiety you experience on a daily basis. We are going to completely unpack how this switch works, because once you understand it, it will completely change the way you view your own mind. But to get there, we first need to completely shatter how you think about intelligence. When we talk about raw biological brain power, psychologists use a term called fluid intelligence. Fluid intelligence is your brain's raw horsepower. It has absolutely nothing to do with what you learned in school. If crystallized intelligence is a massive, incredibly organized library of thousands of books you've already read, fluid intelligence is the speed and accuracy of the librarian trying to find a specific book while the library is currently on fire. It is your ability to solve completely novel, unprecedented problems in real time. And for decades, scientists assumed that people with high fluid intelligence simply had brains that worked harder, that their brains lit up like Christmas trees when faced with a problem. But a groundbreaking study using PET scans and the video game Tetris proved that the exact opposite is true. Researchers brought in a group of people, hooked them up to brain scanners, and had them play Tetris every day for several weeks. At first, everyone's brain was working incredibly hard. But as the weeks went on, something fascinating happened to the brains of the highly intelligent individuals. Their brain activity didn't increase, it plummeted. Their brains experienced a massive decrease in glucose metabolism. They became metabolically silent. This is the principle of neural efficiency. A brilliant brain doesn't actually work harder than an average brain, it works vastly less. Think of it like a professional athlete. A pro makes a physically impossible movement look completely effortless. They barely break a sweat. Meanwhile, a beginner uses every single muscle in their body just to keep from falling over. Highly intelligent brains are hyper-efficient. They automate complex tasks so rapidly that their neural networks practically go to sleep while doing the heavy lifting. But this incredible biological efficiency comes with a devastatingly high hidden cost, and it perfectly explains why you might feel completely overwhelmed by everyday life. A massive study looking at over 3,700 members of Mensa people, heavily vetted to have an IQ over 130, revealed a dark statistical reality. These certified geniuses had a 2 to 4 times higher risk of being diagnosed with anxiety disorders and ADHD compared to the national average. High IQ isn't just a gift. Statistically speaking, it is a massive biological risk factor for psychological distress. Why? Because of a phenomenon called overexcitability. For the average person, the sensory volume knob of the world goes from a 1 to a 10. You hear a lawnmower outside, you notice it, you tune it out, you habituate. But for the highly intelligent, that volume knob starts at an 11 and goes up to a 50. Because their brains are wired to be hyper-reactive to catch tiny, novel details in complex problems, they cannot turn off that same sensitivity when it comes to a scratchy sweater. While a normal brain easily tunes out a minor insult, like an itchy tag, the high IQ brain registers it as a threat. It remains in a continuous low-level fight, flight, or freeze state because its baseline awareness is simply too high to ignore the stimulus. And this brings us to the hidden biological mechanism driving this entire paradox. The tiny brainstem switch I mentioned earlier. It is called the Locus Coeruleus Norepinephrine system, or the LCNE system for short. The Locus Coeruleus is a microscopic cluster of neurons that serves as the absolute sole source of norepinephrine for your neocortex. It is the ultimate energy gatekeeper of your mind. When you encounter a problem, this tiny cluster pumps out norepinephrine, which tells your brain cells to rapidly absorb glucose and start firing. But here is the absolute mind-bending secret about the LCNE system and the true nature of high intelligence. High fluid intelligence is not predicted by your brain's ability to focus. It is specifically predicted by your brain's ability to disengage. The most brilliant minds use the LCNE system to rapidly reset their neural networks. They are masters of clearing out mental clutter. When they finish step one of a problem, their brain brutally instantly deletes that information from their working memory so they can pivot to step two. Their superpower is not holding on to information. It is the ruthless, efficient dropping of no longer relevant data. In fact, this system is so deeply tied to your raw intelligence that scientists can literally measure how smart you are just by looking into your eyes. Multiple studies have proven that your baseline pupil size at rest is a highly reliable indicator of fluid intelligence. Larger pupils at rest directly correlate with higher fluid intelligence because your pupil size is a direct physical mirror of the baseline activity in your LCNE system. The wider the pupil, the more primed the engine is to rapidly disengage and pivot. But because this engine is always running hot, it burns through massive amounts of emotional bandwidth. This leads to asynchronous development. It's the reality of having a 14-year-old's high-level intellect trapped inside an 8-year-old's emotional body. It's like having a computer with a top-of-the-line, futuristic 2026 processor, but it's forced to run on a glitchy 2005 operating system, all housed in a beat-up 2015 plastic case. A highly intelligent person can flawlessly articulate the deepest nuances of global geopolitical economics and then have a complete tearful meltdown 3 minutes later because they cannot find their favorite pencil. The intellect outpaces the emotional regulation. And if you think that's wild, wait until you hear about the dopamine trade-off. Because everything you've been taught about happiness and brain power is completely backwards. We are constantly told that more dopamine is better. We assume that being in a fantastic, positive, energized mood makes us smarter. But neurological research reveals a highly counterintuitive, inverted U-shaped curve when it comes to intelligence and dopamine. Here is the ultimate plot twist. Being in a really good mood actually makes you fundamentally worse at logic. Surging your dopamine into the high ranges is incredibly useful for divergent thinking. If you need to brainstorm, be creative, or come up with 100 different ways to use a paperclip, high dopamine is your best friend. But if you need to solve a strict, single answer, logical puzzle, that exact same high dopamine state will drastically impair a highly intelligent person's ability to find the answer. For convergent thinking, deep, analytical, surgical logic, you actually require low dopamine. A serious, neutral, or even slightly sad mood biologically facilitates the laser-like focus needed for complex analytical tasks. So, how do we actually use this hidden science? How does understanding your locus coeruleus and your dopamine levels fundamentally change the way you operate daily? First, you have to practice the active disengagement hack. If your superpower is the ability to disengage, then you need to stop trying to brute force your way through problems. When you are stuck, thinking harder is the worst thing you can do. You are grinding the gears of your LCNE system. Instead, you must purposefully disengage, switch to a completely unrelated, low-stakes task for 10 minutes. Do the dishes, walk around the block. This literally triggers your brainstem to reset its cognitive zoom lens, clearing the cache so you can return with a massive surge of fluid intelligence. Second, you need to embrace state-dependent thinking. Stop trying to force yourself to be positive for every single task. Use your moods as biological tools. If you are doing your taxes, coding, or solving a rigorous logical framework, embrace a serious, low mood. Let the dopamine drop. But if you need to ideate and create, watch a funny video, take a walk in the sun, spike that dopamine, and let your divergent thinking run wild on the dopamine seesaw. And finally, and most importantly, you must practice sensory load shedding. You have to completely reframe how you view your sensitivities. Being annoyed by an itchy tag, bright lights, or overlapping noises is not a personality flaw. It is not you being weak or overly dramatic. It is a biological tax for having a hyperreactive neural network. If your hyperbody is constantly forced into a fight or flight state because of sensory noise in your environment, your hyperbrain will quite literally have fewer metabolic resources available for fluid reasoning. You will drain your glucose just trying to tolerate your shirt. You must start treating sensory comfort like noise-canceling headphones, seamless clothing, and quiet rooms not as luxurious indulgences, but as absolute metabolic necessities. You have to protect your LC-knee system from redlining into anxiety. You do not have a broken brain. You have a Formula One race car engine, and you've been trying to drive it through a crowded grocery store parking lot, wondering why it keeps stalling. Your mind was built for extreme novelty, for rapid disengagement, and for profound depths of processing. So stop apologizing for the precise conditions your brain needs to operate and start building an environment that actually respects the machinery inside your head. Because true intelligence isn't about ignoring the noise of the world. It's about engineering the silence you need to hear your own brilliance. If this psychological deep dive fundamentally changed how you see your own mind, hit that subscribe button and leave a like. It tells the algorithm to keep feeding your brain content that actually matters. I'll see you in the next one.